Hi, everyone. I'm Emily Goodrich.
And I'm Brandy Gordon.
And this is The Practice of Being Human, which is a conversation between two lifelong friends who invite you on our journey of self-discovery, trial and error, and how we practice being human.
Here we are.
And this is our first episode.
Welcome, and thank you for joining us. We're super excited about the opportunity to just have a conversation sort of in front of you.
Which is also incredibly nerve-wracking to open the doors and allow people a sneak peek, not only into our personal lives, but into the dynamics of our lifelong relationship.
That could be frightening for some.
That could be terrifying, hard to wrap your head around. Today is it's so exciting because we've been waiting and talking about this for so long. And there's so much energy around oh my gosh, today is the day. And I keep comparing it to it feels like my birthday, and today is my birthday.
It's your birthday, everyone.
This was Brandy's present to me.
Well, I gave you an actual physical present, and when I did give it to you, I was like, this is such a lame present. But I had to just really rest on the idea that it's okay to give a lame present because this is the bigger gift.
This is the bigger gift. This is also the start of us being friends for 34 years.
Yes, we did debate that today based on picture evidence, but
we did narrow it down to kindergarten.
We met when we were 5. On a basketball team.
Yeah. And so I think there's also a phase of we used to really go big for our birthdays and how could we almost competed. My birthday's first, and then Brandy's
trailblazer always.
I am 4 weeks older than Brandy. And then we used to really it was Brandy was it's not a gift unless I've made Emily cry when she opens it.
Oh yeah, I forgot that part.
Yeah, that chapter of our friendship.
Here we are. Let's make me cry today.
Yeah, so you can make me cry. But now it's as we've gotten older. Today I am celebrating 39, which is some processing around that milestone. But it's a practical gift and a podcast. Those are the things that's her love language. That I will give you a podcast and a really practical gift. And so that is. We kept waiting for the right time to start this, and we realized there would be no right time. We just needed to do it. And what better time than on my birthday to record our first episode?
Emily's been pushing hard for this podcast.
I push hard on most things, so
that is our dynamic. But her pushing for the podcast for, I think, really since we got hunkered down into quarantine, this was kind of we're doing this. And I was like, I know. I'm not sure. And then the more I sat with it and the more ideas around it, I really thought, we do have interesting conversations. Let's invite others into that space and just see if we can just help people. And I think, Emily, talk a little bit about what this isn't.
Yes. Brandy and I had to get really clear about what this is not so that you all know, if you are searching for this in a podcast, do not come here. Do not listen to us. If you are searching for very deep expert advice, people who have PhDs, therapists, people who have years and years of experience.
I mean, I would argue that based on how we've gotten each other through some things in life, that we maybe could have earned some sort of therapist.
Some jobs say you can have the degree or X amount of years of experience, we do fall into that category, but we're not going to be therapists. I think really what we are is two best friends who are fiercely committed, especially in the past few years, to showing up and living life in the most authentic way possible.
Yeah, and I think where we sit in that is that it generally comes with us speaking a truth that we've identified within ourselves and then not being able to pack that back in. So we've unpacked some box or some idea or some truth and then really unpacked it with one another, probably externally processing more than internally processing, at least for me. And it becoming not being able to put it away and having to live that truth out loud or to sitting almost sometimes in the truth or the shame of that, to just kind of level up or step into the next space of our life and our friendship. And I would say we hold each other accountable. We also really do give each other a lot of space and grace to kind of experience the trials and tribulations that come with that, and really just playing witness to those things and that time in our lives. And I think that's where we were like, this could be helpful to others. And again, not experts. And I've really sat over the last few weeks of having this block about doing this, in the sense of like, why me? Why now? Why Emily? Why us? And I think what it came down to is that we do think we can help people in just giving a window into the things that we're doing to sort of move through life and just practice being a human. And it's not expert advice. We don't have all the answers, but we have found ways to kind of push each other and shine light into our shadows and hold each other accountable in certain ways so that we can keep moving and growing and not be stagnant in a space and a time where things are really hard right now.
Things are really hard right now. Like the climate everywhere you look is really challenging. And so then to also say, apparently this is the time, the season, the chapters of our lives, we're going to do the work at the same time, is hard. It's really hard. And it's also incredibly fulfilling and rewarding. So we have to keep going and we have to keep doing it. And where we often talk to each other, like the best I can do is practice. I can practice showing up. I can practice the things I'm learning. I can practice deep vulnerability and love and compassion each day. And that's what I can do. And then I love the concept of I can give up each night and then I can start again tomorrow. And that's the best and the furthest we've gotten.
Right.
And I think for us, it became really important to say, we will share with whoever wants to go on this journey with us, the messiness of that, the space that needs to get held, the depth of that, because you're not alone. And there are people who are trying and want to have those conversations and go a little deeper. And we were just I know our friendship is like one of divine intervention, because we've been able to have a teammate, like really someone who is going through this, and we're doing it together. So we thought we should bring that to people.
Yes, and an interesting divine intervention of space and time, because we're so different.
We are so different.
But yet at the same time, it's like salt and pepper, mustard and ketchup. It's just,
it works so well.
I hate mustard, but
me too. We do have that in common. It works so well, but it is, it's just a really perfect space. And so with that, I think like we're going to take a moment, and we thought it would be kind of awesome to introduce each other. I think what's really fascinating and challenging about this friendship is I do think there are levels of, when you've observed someone for so many years, how sometimes we might in some instances know each other better than we know ourselves.
It does happen in certain situations.
But typically when the other one's like, I don't want to hear that truth. Like, don't say that to me.
Yes.
You don't know me.
You don't know
You
don't know me. That's our favorite saying at the moment.
Yes. So can I start with you?
Yeah, you can. Emily is a little bit more of a free thinker in words and thoughts. So I think she's just going to like speak about who I am. I wrote something.
Did you write me a sonnet?
I wrote you a love letter on
Oh
your
my
birthday.
God. Can I have it as part of my birthday present?
Sure.
Oh my God.
Also, full disclosure, I think she'll explain this to you. But
yes. Better than you will.
Yeah. Okay. I'm emotional, and I wear most of my emotions right on my face and my sleeve and everywhere. So there'll be tears. And actually, you should be concerned if there aren't tears, because that means I'm probably not connected to the subject.
Nope, she's not here. She checked out.
I've checked out. I've moved on to whatever else is happening in my world at the moment. But my goal is to really stay present, obviously, while we're recording. And I'm not actually probably be able to watch what Emily's saying, because I'll be bawling on the other end. But
I'm my gift to her.
I'm interested to hear.
Oh God. And you know what? I didn't even think it through. I should have thought it through, but I'm just going to let it go.
I'm proud of you for doing that, because I had a meltdown about just trying to free flow it, because I feel like I would miss something that was important. So, and if you miss something important, we can circle back next episode. You can tell me how great I am.
Okay, perfect. She'll leave me notes after this if I miss anything. Okay, so I'm going to go over your roles first, because I think that is important.
Yeah, whatever feels good.
Okay, so Brandy is a Libra.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we're going to do it. We're going to do all the things. Brandy's a Libra. I often use that against her.
It uses it against myself.
Yep. So Brandy's a Libra. She is an air sign, right? You're an air sign. You are an Enneagram 2. So we're going to get into Enneagrams on this show, but please bookmark that. Brandy is an Enneagram 2. She is a mother to 3 children. Brandy has 2 twins that are 8 and 3rd grade. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. In 3rd grade. And then she has her youngest, who is 4 and in preschool. This is his first year of preschool. She's the youngest, the only girl in a family of, she have 4 older brothers. And Brandy's a single mom. I think that's an important one. So like, not only are you a mom to these 3 rambunctious humans, but you are a single mom. She's a real estate agent. So side note, I own a real estate company. Brandy's an agent in that office. So those are like, don't you think that's the stats of Brandy?
Yeah, I think
she's a daughter, she's a girlfriend, a sister. And now like, this is why, I mean, this is also selfish because this is why we work. I'm going to tell you why we work now. Okay.
I took the single one.
Okay, good. I'm going to tell you why we have flourished for all of these years. Brandy, I don't like, Brandy is magical. I might cry. Is that okay? Brandy's a magical.
I did say that we'd get her emotional for her birthday. So
Yeah,
if the emotion is around me, then I think it's a win.
Yeah,
no
Brandy's a magical human being. So Brandy, first off, I was just thinking about this. Like if I could add as an adult, just have like a life emergency contact. Like if I could just, for a spiritual crisis, for, oh my God, this happened. If I could have a life emergency contact through and through that I know will be there, not only just be there, but like this energetic space of steadiness, of calmness. She knows how to reach me. She knows how to show up in the really, really, really amazing times and the really, really, really dark times. After this many years, there might be a touch of codependency, and I'm okay with that. But there are moments, especially through this growth, through all the life changes, through all the things that have happened, where I have just forgotten how to breathe. Like I have forgotten momentarily like how to function. Mm-hmm. And I know the one thought is just like, if I just need to get to Brandy. Mm-hmm. Because there is a stableness, there is a calmness, there is an energy, there is a way that Brandy, and I know that it is this way with anyone who comes into Brandy's presence, but I have always felt so lucky to be like towards the top of that list, that she can just see you in those moments and love you through them. Mm. I love how you're agreeing with me. Mm-hmm. Yes, this is true. This is true. But
it's interesting to hear, I guess, how showing up impacts someone, right? Or like, I think I'm coming from a space of like, I'm aware of these things, but it's interesting.
You don't just show up. You show up without your own agenda. Mm.
Or without seeking something.
Yeah, you can wrap a emotional blanket around me. And I think after we talk so much about this, right? Like, because I've come to you frustrated. Why can't this person over here? Why? And you're like, but Emily, we've worked so hard to earn these spots in each other's lives. Brandy has shown time and time again, like I can trust her. I can rely on her. She shows up. And if she can't, she's ever like, hey, just give me a minute, and I have trouble, and we'll talk more about this down the road, but like sticking with a tough emotion. Mm-hmm. I have trouble processing, staying put, sitting in it. And you have never been uncomfortable with any emotion. But it's so lovely where it's like, there's never a feeling of judgment or Rod, get over this. It is always just, I meet you where you are. I see this emotion. It does not make me uncomfortable. I can hold space and love you unconditionally in these moments. And it is such an amazing and rare gift to say, I can see you and stay with you and be with you and love you and like hold those emotions you have without any energy around it, but compassion, which I think is lovely. I know in that, like there's you are such a giver. You are such a giver. You are I am envious at times too of like how, I don't know how to say this, but like domestically sound you are. Like you're just such an amazing mother to everyone who comes to you, right? To your own children and to anyone. So there's just a commitment to growth, a commitment to like loving people fiercely, to the people in your world that come in and out that get to experience that kind of love, because it's so rare to find that kind of love. And I sometimes like feel so selfish or some, like I've gotten to experience and bask in it for so many years. And then there's the flip side of like, we're a perfect combination because I'm like, hey, you know what we should do?
A podcast.
Or like, I mean, imagine those ideas I had in the middle of the night as teenagers. Like I've always, and you were like, let me sit with this. Okay, I can walk with you in this direction. And
let me Libra this idea.
Or like, let's make sure we don't get into too much trouble when we do this. But this can be a yes. And you've always just supported every dream and vision I've come to you with, right? You've never been like, let's talk about how that can't happen. And I also will say you challenge in a way that is so loving. So I guess like you're really great, but it's just all to my benefit. Like, so that's why we've worked, is it's really complementary. I've deeply benefited from you for 34 years.
I think the feeling's mutual.
Thanks, that's sweet. That makes me feel better at the end of this, because I didn't hear listing like all the reasons it works so well for me. Like, but you are amazing, and you are lovely, and you are just such a calm, lovely, sound energy that it has really been such a huge part of how I am where I am in my life. So I love you.
I love you.
Happy start of our 34th year.
Yeah. I mean, a few things come to mind. Hearing about yourself is interesting. I think about the emergency contact space, another friend of mine asked me to be their emergency contact on their like medical something. And I didn't realize how big of a deal that was, in the sense of like, we do have friends and family that don't necessarily have a great relationship with their parents, or maybe they are newly single, and so their emergency contact of their partner is no longer there. And so I just think that maybe it might be something that we unpack in another episode, of just this idea of family, or I think you mentioned that I have a commitment to growth, which I think is funny, because sometimes I think I focus on everyone else's growth that I forget my own. So we can unpack that another day. So much unpacking. Look, tears already. And then I think, just to move on, and we can talk about is that like it takes a good friend to have good friends, and I think that you're a great friend.
God, you're so sweet.
So like, anyway, let's just read what I have. Dude, lots of tears. Good thing you guys can't see me if you're choosing not to watch this on YouTube or something. This podcast adventure will be us learning tech a little bit too, but I'm crying and you can't see it, but you can probably hear it.
If you just heard my gasp, it's because she opened what she wrote.
It's not that long.
So excited. I'm wondering if it's something I can frame. These are the thoughts that go through my head.
Fun fact. I think I've written something similar to this, probably for your wedding. I don't have a copy of it because she threw away my laptop that would have had it on it. We can unpack that.
There's highs and lows to this relationship.
We can unpack that one. That might be a whole episode of our time and space apart.
Yeah.
We could unpack that a second, but it doesn't matter. But I'll circle back to that. But okay. Hello, world. That's you guys. You're the world now. I've had the pleasure to introduce you to this amazing woman next to me. Knowing someone for 34 years is a fascinating thing for me to try and put into coherent earthly words that describe the force that she is. But I will try. I've known her since I was 5. I had a perm, her with some bangs, both perfectly plump, or how my mom would justify it now when I told her I was overweight for my age, prepubescent. Either way, we've gotten better with age. We met playing basketball with Redmond Parks and Rec. Little did either of us know that fate had struck. Most likely, again, only in this time, in this lifeline, of the beginning of an epic, albeit codependent partnership. We should not have been on the same team as we went to different elementary schools, but the universe had a plan. And I think that we are sitting here living that plan. But likely what I was drawn to then is what I adore about this human now. When we found out our Enneagram types, which I should have probably rostered her a little bit. She's an earth sign, a Virgo, an amazing 7. She is the youngest of 2 sisters, or 3 sisters. She's the third youngest. She's a real estate mogul and owns our amazing brokerage of 4 Elements, and is a mom of 3, which I'll get to. So when I found out her Enneagram sign, a sentence that stood out to me was, they approach life with curiosity, optimism, and a sense of adventure like kids in a candy store who look at the world wide-eyed with anticipation of all the good things they're about to experience. You, without trying, command the room and space. At times, I would say others can be intimidated by you, but it isn't a malicious, conscious intimidation. It's because you are such a force. You have an uncanny ability to raise the level of those around you by your actual asks sometimes, but more often than not, without realizing it, just by your presence. You simply elevate around you. Whether it's an idea, the energy, the situation, the relationship, whatever it is, you raise the level. As we have grown, you have learned to hold space for others and meet them where they are, even though it kills you sometimes because you're a visionary and you have an idea and you can see it and you can see what we want, but you can see the best version of a person or a situation and you just want all of us to catch up to you. You love fiercely. Your growth is at a rapid pace to the point where oftentimes 24 hours later, you're a completely different person and you're just having to try and catch up. Watching you become a mom has probably been my favorite thing. Sorry to say, but even after a good deal of mothering you, it wasn't that I was completely skeptical of mom you'd be, but I was like, oh, motherhood changed you. Something we can definitely unpack in another time, but you are such a wonderful mother. Like all the things I'm proud of you for, your love for the boys and how much you show up for them is the top of the list. So I would remiss to say, I love you for the things I'm not, which is kind of what you did. For the things that this is true. For the things that I like to tell people why I'm friends with you, and a few other humans in my life that are just completely so different for me. It's sort of a yin and yang thing, or perhaps my id, which I sometimes refer to us as. You can act and do and follow through with your ideas without overanalyzing. You for being selfish in a good way. I envy that because I don't always put myself first, and you do it in a way that's for everyone's benefit. All right, here's the hard part.
Oh God, just now? Okay.
Yeah, okay. If this podcast is nothing else for the world, it has given me the opportunity to tell you how much I admire and respect you. We have come so far. You have come so far. I am truly proud of you. I and those that sit at your table are so lucky to share a seat with you. Your light illuminates us all, and it sheds light on our shadow sides, asking us to grow and to come out of your darkness or our darkness. And it acts much like a lighthouse or a beacon of love and hope, reminding us that we are loved and fiercely cared for by you, and the awareness that we can do hard things and better is possible. That while truth sitting is hard, that your example proves that practicing being human is a beautiful thing. So much in so little, but I think just like to not read it is like, you just are a fabulous human. And I do think those that are in your orbit are raised to this level of like amazingness, because it's not even that you demand it, but your presence awakens it almost. So I just think you're an amazing human, and I'm lucky to know you.
Thank you. That was my real birthday present. Thank you.
Of course.
Yeah. And I also like, I sit here and I see how, first off, I'm like, God, if I could just, if the person closest to you in the entire world sees you that way, the way we see each other, maybe we have something sort of figured out. And then I'm like, why wouldn't you listen to this? We sound like the best people ever. So
right.
If you want, in the opinion of my best friend, I'm pretty amazing, as are you.
But so obviously I have this vision of her and know her for who she is, and maybe more than she knows herself at times, or remind her to look at herself in a certain way, in a certain light that reminds her of who she is. But that isn't just things I think. Like, I think if you look at the people that surround us and you, is that your mirror is such a wonderful cast of characters. Like, and it's not because like you're loved by wonderful humans because you give to them in that way. You know what I mean? And I think sometimes because of the trials and tribulations in our lives, we look at what we've lost and we fail to like remember who's still in the room. And I think that there has been loss and there has been change and there has been some by choice and some by necessity and some by like without control. But like, I do think we still have the people in the room that are really proven to A, show up at the table, and B, because you are such a light giver and you do illuminate so much in others' lives that they really do appreciate it. And I think, at least from a work standpoint, like the people that are at our brokerage are really benefiting from that for sure. So from a business side, it's clear, but I think from a friendship perspective, I have had the unique pleasure of like, in crisis to myself, like really having someone that's grounded and stable and saying like, hey, maybe you don't shine in your own crisis, but you're freaking shining in my crisis.
So good in my crisis. Like, you are one of the few people I allow, because I'm like, I know you have that flashlight. Go ahead and shine it.
Right. And not in like a interrogating kind of way. It's more of in a
just like mirror, and I have the emergency
like this beautiful ring light I have on me right now. It makes you just look good.
Yeah, it just feels nice. It's just, yeah. So, and I also think something that's really unique about this dynamic, and that is going to be a really interesting perspective, and we talk about this often, is we met when we were 5. And we became friends in 7th grade.
Yeah, so we played on the same basketball team. We dominated, her being the tallest. Yeah, she stopped growing.
She just asked me today, did you stop growing in 4th grade? And I said, yes,
she stopped growing in 3rd grade. So she was the tallest for a long time. So I was a little sporty spice, like point guard, like bob and weave out of all of the peoples. And then I would just dish it down to her, and she was taller than everyone, so she would score. So my competitive nature probably became friends with her because
you wanted to win.
Because I wanted to win.
Yeah, for sure. But I think that still works really well for us.
Yeah, we want to win.
We want to win. So we've kept each other this long.
But yeah, we
became really good friends in 7th grade.
Right. So we went to separate elementary schools, ended up at the same middle school. We were like magnets drawn to one another. And it is fascinating because we are so different.
We had different friends the entire time.
Yep.
We did different things. I stopped playing sports. We traveled in different worlds. We did different activities, but we always came back to each other. And we were always a constant.
Yeah.
And so I look at that and I think, like, first off, our paths first crossed when we were 5 years old.
Mm-hmm.
And we are now both going, like me today and you next month, celebrating our 39th birthday.
Mm-hmm.
And we are, as you said, sometimes with me in 24 hours, a different person. We have grown and changed and evolved, and we have become endless different versions of ourselves. Like, we have grown, each chapter has brought new awareness and new growth and bigger dreams and new roles and like so many new convictions about how life should be led or what's true and what's not. Like, there has to have been at least a dozen different versions of our friendship.
Yeah. Yeah. And it did end up, and oftentimes like Phoenix rising differences. Like, yeah. And there was a time where we took a break or a space of like, we needed to kind of really figure out who we were individually before we could try to be even aware of where a friendship could,
or how to hold space for another human when we're like, I have to soar, which I think, that's where everyone in their 20s is. But then it was just both of us, I think, look at that time like that was so necessary.
Yeah.
to sometimes growth needs to be done separately, mm-hmm. and sometimes it needs to be done together. And it blows my mind because when you look back at like, that's why I always think like, gosh, it's a divine gift. Like somewhere, mm-hmm. Somehow we signed up for teammates and I got you
right
for this whole entire lifeline, because there's so many reasons it shouldn't have worked. Right. And like, right. how does, I think it's just beautiful to think about like relationships evolve so much, even in a short amount of time. So to say like, hey, from when I was 5 until now I'm a mother and a business owner and all these things. And I think we both agree each massive level up, each step, each evolution, each layer that shed, we like each other even more.
Right.
And we are there.
It's like a fondness or like an appreciation or a respect for like the new version, right? Like,
yeah.
And I truly believe, like, in one of the awe moments I have in you, or in awe moments of you, it's just like how far we've come, and really saying like, we did shed so many layers of skin to get to who we are, and being able to say like, yeah, there was growth and there was change, but at the end of the day, your core is still similar to mine.
Yes. So our values are very similar. The way we want to approach the world and show up for people might look a little different, but that passion is there. And we've each given each other the space to change.
Yeah.
And greeted that with like, okay, let me meet the new version of you, and never had any energy around trying to hold you into the box you used to be in.
Right.
And I think that is so lovely.
Yeah.
And rare.
And yes, rare and difficult. I don't know that I have this theory on friendships, and might circle back this another time, but like there's 3 kinds of friends in the world. One, friends of a like location. So your best friend growing up was your neighbor. Like just the little girl down the street was your best friend because that's who was there and that's what worked. And then there's friends of affinity, something that you share a common interest in. So the person that you work with, that you sit next to in a cubicle, or the person that you're on the sports team with, or you had yearbook class in, or you had the same classes. So there's something kind of binding that friendship of, and then once the absence of that is there, the friendship isn't upheld, right? And then there's
the convenience.
The convenience of it is gone. And then there's friendships of the heart, which are, the people that you've known for a long time, or you could not speak to for a long time, and then you pick up and left off right where you, and there's not a common interest that you're always speaking about. It's not like you're talking about your softball teammates, or you're talking about the memories that you made during that time, but there is this bigger sense of like, you're important to me on a soulful level, or an energetic level, or whatever it is. And we could and will think about where we sit in the idea of energy and space and time and lifelines and all those things, and how we approach the world in those ways. But I do think that there are friendships that are meant to carry on through time, that don't need that affinity or that location to kind of hold it. And I think it would be fascinating for people who are listening to this to examine kind of the people in their world and say, hey, who does kind of fit this mold, or how do I think the thing for you and I, we've always known that our friendship is important to one another.
Yep. It's a priority. It deserves energy.
Right. You talk a lot about glass balls or plastic balls and things that like can drop. Probably shouldn't have called balls, but like this idea of there's priorities that are glass and you can't drop them. And there's others that if you drop them, they'd bounce, or they would, you could let them go or pick them back up when you needed them again. But the glass ones you can't drop because they'll break. And that's important friendships and family and jobs and things that you just have to hold. And I think we've realized that whether we have space or time, that we're going to make this a priority because it is so rare.
Yes. And I think we decided at the end of the day, like, we are parenting together. We have 6 children. We are parenting these young, and they're young. Like, we're in the thick of this.
Yep.
We are both entrepreneurs. We are really busy. We are really tired. I'm not gonna lie. Like, we are tired. We are parenting in a pandemic. Like, we are all of the things. So at the very least, we're like, well, at this point in our relationships, we will be getting together weekly and recording our conversation just so we can talk. This is the only time that we can talk without our 4-year-olds both asking. We actually have to lie. Like, my son will say, like, is that Brandy? Is that Brandy? Can I talk to her son? And I'm like, it's not Brandy. Brandy's not on the phone right now. Brandy's busy. And that's the only way we can talk to one another. So we just decided we are going to show up and pretend like we're doing a thing so that we can have a conversation and record it.
Yeah.
And like, if you've made it this far, I would say what you can show up for is, I mean, if you have light topics, and you want to reach out to us, because what we plan on doing is like really walking through and talking and exploring in real time the things we are trying to wrap our heads around, process, and really push ourselves to grow. And what that exploration and that journey looks like in real time.
Yeah. It'll be a balance of like what's happening maybe currently, and at least for at the beginning of all this, to try to unpack on what got us here, specifically, I think in the last 2 years.
Yeah, the last 2 years will be the main focus for us. And then as we're practicing how to be human, how to take all the things we've learned, all the lessons that have happened, all the changes and shifts, how do we in real time practice that? So the other big ask we have is like, number one, if you have a light topic that you'd like to throw at us, I mean, we promise witty banter and commentary throughout as we share our journeys. But the other thing is, if you are an expert, reach out to us. We need you. We desperately need you. This is also our spin on getting free expert advice. Like, we're going to pretend. Yep. We just don't want to pay you, and we want you to come and teach us on our podcast. Like, please, if you are an expert, if you have a vast amount of knowledge,
yes,
please share it with us.
Yes, please.
Because we don't.
Well, and we do.
We have our own real life on the job training. We got life on the job training.
Yes.
And TED Talks. Like, that's what we have. We really have nailed that piece of this pie. And we would really welcome you to come on our podcast if you have real life
expertise.
If this is a job you actually go to and get paid for,
or maybe it's a hobby that you've
really nailed,
really
if you are well read at this point, we'll even take you. I mean, if you are just well read in a certain topic and could teach us.
And this comes from a place of selfishness a little bit, because I'm a learner by like nature. So there's Enneagrams, there's all kinds of different personality tests, things like that. Strengths Finder is one that I've really glommed onto as an athlete. We used it a lot, but learner is one of my like characteristic strengths. And it's that I just like to absorb it. I like to absorb information and ideas. And so if you've got something that's interesting, or even something that touches on any little thing that we've kind of thrown out there today,
come teach us.
Yes, please.
Come teach us. Please. We are your pupils.
Yeah.
We will really be good students on this podcast.
Absolutely.
So we are figuring it out each day. We are going to share with you all aspects of that, as vulnerably terrifying as that is. We are going to go for it, but we also welcome anyone who may be able to share some knowledge with us.
Yeah. And like, you talk a little bit about how we came to the idea of this practicing being human, like where, so Emily and I are both separated from our past partners, recently finalizing separations or divorces or however it's looking. And we are both on different journeys into where that's the next step in those things are. But we jokingly said, like, if we were to ever get married again, or if this ever is space, what would we want someone to tell us as we stood and made some kind of commitment?
Because we'll talk about this deeply, but I'm adamantly opposed to ever being married again. And that's fine to say. Like, this is my corner I'm in right now. And the most I can ever do, and the most I can ever ask, like, is to say or hear from someone.
The ultimate thing someone could say to her. And I really resonated with this idea of like,
the best I can do is to practice every day.
Like I'm going to wake up every morning and practice.
I'm going to practice with you. That's the best we can do. The best I can do as a mom, the best I can do as a best friend, the best I can do as a partner. All we are given in life is the opportunity to practice, and to do that with our eyes wide open in the most authentic way possible and true to ourselves. Is I can practice with you. That's it. I can, because I can't practice alone. Like, I can't. I've tried to put myself in a room away from humanity and try to grow and change. And there's so far you can go. There's really only so far you can go alone reading books. Then you have to actually
Put it in
practice.
Yeah.
And that is all we can do. And that's not a cop-out to me. That's not an excuse, as long as it's done in a way that I'm going to show up vulnerably and authentically and lovingly, and I'm going to practice alongside of you. And that is the only commitment I can make to the people who come into my life.
Right. And I think one example or one avenue to look at that is like this idea of like loving something unconditionally. Yes, we absolutely we want to love someone unconditionally, but we're thinking about it and kind of mulling that over. And it's like, is that really realistic? Can you really love something without conditions at all? Maybe today, maybe this hour, maybe this moment, but can we do it 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 360? Maybe not, but I would love for someone to look me in the eyes and say, I will practice trying to love you unconditionally every single day. And it was beautiful in the sense of like, we were trying to think about what to call this, and we've kind of mulled over different ideas and different names. And that idea of just like, that's why our friendship and why this space came to be, is because we are just like
Fiercely committed to
practicing and growing and learning. And we think that's what we have to offer others, is this idea that this is how we've been practicing. This is how we are committing to moving forward in practicing these ideas of being human, but we're just trying.
Yeah.
And we don't have it all figured out. And we would be lying to you if we said like, our lives are completely perfect and we have arrived.
We have this figured.
We've got it out. Figured out. So
bulletproof.
We're talking at you about what steps to go to get there. That is not that's not where we're coming from.
We are walking alongside you.
We're walking alongside you. I'm walking alongside Emily. Emily's walking along me. And I feel like every person in our life, that's what we're trying to do, is just, hey, we're walking alongside with you. We're here. We want to show you spaces where we've kind of grown or learned from.
How we have failed and then figured it out.
Yeah. Still failing.
Yep. The days where the practice did not go well, but we tried again.
Yeah.
So that's what we hope this is going to be. And it will change, and it will be fluid, and it will evolve, and we will learn, and then we will pivot, and it will be lovely.
Yeah.
And we will have new episodes out every Monday.
It's the goal.
That's the goal. And we hope that you come along with us. Like, this is your invitation to join us on this journey, to be here, to grow, to evolve, to change, to try to practice and figure it out with us. And that's what we're going to do. And you're going to listen to us laugh a lot.
Yes.
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 So that's it. That's where we are. That's our intro.
Thank you for joining us.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for staying with us.
Yep. And we will
see you next week.
See you next week.